Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. This is Simon at Wandering DM. Once again, having muted my microphone because I am a pro streamer. Um, Welcome to our session 0 of Legacy: Life Among the Ruins. Before we begin, I just want to let you all know that this is a session, a public session 0. We've already chatted a bit amongst ourselves to establish certain things about the settings, and we'll go into that during the game. But we most definitely will not be actually playing tonight. A staple of PBTA games is to have a proper session 0 where we sort of establish the narrative. And in Legacy, there's a few things that need to be done as well, such as... where's my book? Good. Such as making sure that things are set, the map is created. We don't have the map right now on the overlay, but I'm going to tweak things up so that we can see it once we've decided where things are and how things work. Otherwise, that's about it for me. Let's just go around the table. Introduce yourselves. Tell us just who you are, and we will leave it at that for now because we don't have characters just yet. But we'll talk about the families you've chosen last time and all of that. So let's start with Kelly.
Hi, I'm Kelly, a Kelly on Twitter, a Kelly in chat. What else are we supposed to say? Sorry. I had an SOS for an undergrad that I needed to respond
No, that's okay. Just introduce yourself, and that is it, because we have yet to have created our characters.
Cool. So I'm Kelly. I do stuff and things on the internet. I actually was planning on taking a full season off of streaming, but then... And I love Simon and Wandering DM channel, and so now I'm here. Also, right now you should check out Unbridled, which came out today and that I have an adventure in. It's hags and unicorns and queer bullcrap. It's fantastic. It's a lot. It's something. I don't really know what it is, but it's something.
Cool. It's on. Is it on the DM's Guild or on?
Yes, on DM's Guild.
Okay. Next up, we will introduce Anino.
How's it going, everyone? My name's Anino. It's Anino Gaming on the Twitter, and I don't really have anything to plug, so there is that.
All right, then. Next up is Deirdre.
Hey y'all, you know me, I'm at Jujel on Twitter or Prexagorath as Euphoria as you see me around Twitch, and I hang out here a lot because these are my friends, and all of these people are my friends, so we should all support each other, and yay Kelly for Unbridled. And other than that, we'll talk about other stuff later. It's time to let Simon try and not kill... No, he doesn't get to kill us all today because it's only session 0! Haha!
It is only session 0, which means that we are not going to... Well, nobody can die during character creation in this game. Oh, wow. Hi, Jim. Thank you for the subs. Yeah, so we're not going to kill anyone. You cannot die during character creation in Legacy anyway, compared to other RPGs. I'm just going to go into a bit what the game is, and then we're going to slowly build our characters together and establish the backstory for the events of the campaign. So Legacy: Life Among the Ruins is a powered by the Apocalypse game. It's a PBTA game where you play survivors in a post-apocalyptic world. What makes it different from other, such as Apocalypse World, other post-apocalyptic games, is that in Legacy you not only incarnate the take on the role of a character, you also take on the role of a family. In this instance, a family is a group of people that share the same values, believe in the same things, and they have what we call a homeland, which is basically a piece of territory that they've carved for themselves. It can be as small as just a single building, or it could be several settlements wide. But that is to say, they live according to the same rules, same principles, and all that. They believe in the same thing, and they believe that their way of life is the way to bring back civilization to the wasteland. In Legacy, and you'll notice in this campaign, though it's going to be short, but in Legacy, the game is played on a multi-generational level, which means that the first character that you play during the game, you will not play that character throughout the whole campaign. There are several jumps in generations, in years, which means that your first character will either die, maybe, unfortunately, or will just retire, grow old, take on a less important role with the family, and another character will take their place. Now, what's fun about it is that while we created our families already, but we haven't created our first characters. Now, once we create these characters, we are going to create them from these families. So each of the three characters during the campaign, at least the first ones, will be from the family that each of the player has created already. When we jump forward in time, then the players are not forced to play the characters from the families they've created, which means that the family that you've chosen at first will be molded through the course of the game, and the actions of whoever their let's say leader, or in this case representative, has done or is trying to accomplish. So that is Legacy in a nutshell. We have already built our 3 families already. So what we're going to do, we'll introduce those families to you so that you at least have a bit of idea of, where these characters are going to be coming from. And then we'll start talking a bit about the backstory of the setting, I think, first, and then creating the background for the campaign. So one thing that I want to stress out, the setting for this game has been chosen by pretty much the players, so that whatever drove the world to apocalypse, whatever ended the world, whatever is present in the wasteland afterwards, is something that the players have wanted to include in the game. So there are maybe certain tropes of the post-apocalyptic genre that you might expect that will not feature in this game, because we just didn't want to deal with that, or it just didn't fit the narrative we were going for. Would one of you players introduce the setting? What do you remember about the fall of mankind and what happened? While I open up all of my PDFs.
So, we don't recall all of the details about the fall of mankind, but we do know that there were large monsters, kaiju-like creatures, who appeared, and trying to get rid of them went wrong. And world economy started to collapse because of it. Technology started to have trouble because of it. And now we live in a world where kind of Mother Nature has started to take back over pretty strongly. And we have to survive out in the wilderness, although there are still some technological marvels, such as robots and etc. But we also are still contending with the aforementioned giant beasties.
Thank you.
I think that was everything.
That was pretty much everything. There isn't a whole lot of knowledge that was left after the fall of mankind. That said, let's introduce the families. Tell us everything that you would like the audience to know about the family. If there are a few things you'd prefer to keep secret, I know between the players we've like laid bare everything anyway. But if you want to have like some like twists and turns or something, feel free to share whatever you would like to share. Who would like to go first with that? Please not all at once.
All right. I guess I am first this time. Created is called Arclight Labs, and the playbook we're using for this is the Order of the Titan. As far as the traditions go, Arclight Labs is a handful of scientists and sentient robots. Very stylized. I want to say that all of the robots have, different personalities, and so that really affects their designs. But overall, they tend to be very sleek and metallic armored suits. And as far as the way they are governed, it's pretty much an autonomous collective. So they tend to pick a direction and where to go altogether. Is there anything else I'm missing from that?
Let's see about the family. Is there? Oh, what do they like? What do they look like, stereotypically?
Okay.
What are they dressed as? And I think we're gonna also talk about what do they need? What are the resources that they absolutely need?
Okay, so the Order of the Titan, or the Arclight Labs, is dedicated to hunting behemoths, so the kaijus, essentially. And the things that they need, right now, they're lacking in people. I guess they are a very relatively small population. But other than that, they need basically heavy industrial resources to power their sentient robots and develop the research that they need to continue creating technology that can take on behemoths toe-to-toe. I kind of want to say that the group of the humans in the group tend to be dressed like programmers in a startup company. So not very well dressed, tend to be pretty casual, but serious about their work.
Cool. Who wants to go next?
I have the McLeans. They are the lawgivers of the wasteland. Because, of course, in the distant future, you'd only have a bunch of Irishmen left playing cops, and therefore they would all aspire to be the greatest Irish cop of ever. John McClane. And they are distant descendants of cops and soldiers. They mostly tend towards, sturdy trail clothes and, appropriate gear, but I also still wear a tin star because they need that emblem of authority. And most of their governance is by circuit judges and rangers. So if you remember your American Western history, they are, instead of a very settled population, they're a very dispersed population and ride outland settlements to provide justice and support as needed. And as for what they need, well, they need... Ooh, I should change that. Hold on. They need defenses, transport, and recruits. They need to train more of the giant battle beasts that they ride, because apparently that's the thing they need. Miniature Gaiju monsters that they have quasi-tamed? ?
To use as mounts and beasts of burden, if I remember right.
Yep.
All right, and Kelly, what's your family?
Hi. So the family I'm managing today, as opposed to other days where I do that kind of thing, are refer to themselves as the Children of Persephone. They are kind of a quasi-spiritual group that essentially live in a self-sustaining compound where they aim to encourage the kind of resettling of mankind in a way that respects the nature around them, and is able to kind of bring kind of peace to both humans and Mother Earth. Their spirituality is rooted basically in the wreckage of many civilizations from Earth that was. They essentially will salvage ancient texts that they then use to inspire their spiritual lore. But that means that they borrow from things that are real and things that are less so, and all sorts of different cultures, because they don't, they're just scavenging pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
They are kind of led by basically a council of elders who have shown and proven themselves as being capable of interpreting said texts for the benefit of mankind, and Mother Nature as well. So they usually are wearing very kind of drab clothes, very blending into the environment, very sustainable aims, kind of make everything. They do have adornments that they use of like sticks and jewelry from flowers and twigs and mosses and things like that. They just need hands, trying to be sustainable and trying to encourage people to take care of each other. It takes a lot of work. They also often will serve as healers to other settlements, which gives them access, but they need people to fulfill that role. Relatedly, their council is kind of falling apart and they require some kind of leadership. And being that they're not really interested in force, so they'd rather be looking for artisans and people that can help them develop their means of worship and joy and bring kind of light and happiness to their community.
Good. And in the past, let's go into that before we start creating the characters. There has been a bit of conflict between the families. We'll establish that right away via your influence, I think it was called. What's the name of it again?
Treaty.
The treaties, yeah. If you remember some... And I have them in my notes, so if you want, I can just go through it if you don't remember. But do you remember what conflicts had occurred between your families?
I remember that the Children of Persephone had supporting the crusade of the McLeans the most. And then we saved them from the slaughter at the hand of raiders. I vaguely recall that.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically slavers. And then, unfortunately, the Arclight Labs raised the homeland's worst criminal in recent history.
Which I believe was a rogue robot.
Rogue robot, yes. Hashtag
a rogue robot. and the McLeans saved our asses from said rogue robot.
I'm no claim on what actually happened to the robot after we saved the children of Persephone. I think it may have gone boom. Oops.
What about Arclight Labs?
I don't remember a thing.
Okay.
I just know treaty-wise, there was 3 with the McLeans. I think
The
You
Oh,
muted
yeah.
yourself.
sorry. So I know that the McLeans had or the treaty number with the McLeans was 3, and I think one of the things I remember was the McLeans abandoned Arclight Labs in the middle of a conflict.
mhm.
The behemoth. I don't know where the other 2 might have come from.
The children of Persephone gave you reason to believe that they know something more about the behemoths. And the McLeans apparently host the greatest hero of the Wastes.
Okay.
Which was
his name is John.
Order of the Titan. Let me just grab them right here. Servants, pioneers, Order of the Titan. The question was, which of you currently hosts the greatest hero of the last war in a respected role? And so despite them running away, there was still maybe begrudging respect left for them.
Yeah, I guess.
And Kelly, do you remember yours?
I remember everything with the 2 kind of attacks. One that the Arclight Labs loose robot, and then the McLeans saving us from repeated incursions.
Yeah, that was it actually. Now that
and
I
I
look
think
back
that was
at the
it.
notes, yeah. All right, so with that said, we now have a bit of information about the world before, the world after, and the relationship between the 3 major factions of the Wasteland. There are, of course, other factions, but for now, you have yet to encounter any. Although when we after we've created your characters, we're going to populate the map with certain things from your families called landmarks. So, but we're gonna do that after. First, let's go into character creation. So we have many roles for your characters, many playbooks, as it were. You can be an elder, you can be an envoy, you can be a firebrand, you can be a hunter, a machine, you can be a Promethean, which is basically a self-improving machine, if you will. A reaver, a scavenger, a seeker, a sentinel, a survivor, or an untamed. So, did you want more info about those, each of them? Or, like, some of them, their names are pretty self-explanatory. But if there's any questions that you have regarding them, do you all still have the PDF with the character sheets? Or, oh, you have the sheets on Roll20 anyway.
We have the sheets on Roll20.
Yeah.
I was looking at the Sentinel or the Hunter,
Okay.
but I'm waiting to see what other people want to do.
I'm going with the machine.
I keep flipping back and forth between the envoy,
Mm-hmm.
which I think makes a fair amount of sense, and the seeker. And I think I'm going to go with the seeker. It looks like this is all about kind of finding leftover.
Yeah, the Seeker is someone who goes out and looks specifically for lore, for secrets of the world before, even like, you know, resources that are impossible to recreate nowadays.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it is written to be very like tech focused, but I imagine that the seeker I would be playing, I imagine that it's like a honored role to go out and be looking for books, that prophecies essentially from the past.
Oh yeah.
And then I imagine anybody who spends that much time in the wreckage is going to get somewhat interested in the tech there as well.
Yeah, definitely. And we can reskin the playbooks however we like to fit the narrative. That's the beauty of this game. The characters, the playbooks are really just like frameworks, and then we can change, we can tweak what's in it. So we would have a seeker, we would have a machine, and then Deirdre, you were on the fence between hunter and sentinel.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Sentinel with this character.
Okay. So machine, seeker, and sentinel. Let me just note that down. Sentinel, machine, and seeker. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do for our characters is to create our stats. So at the on your sheet you have a starting array of different stats depending on who you chose. So for example, for the scavenger, I have 3. I can either start with like -1 in force, +1 in lore, +1 in steel, or +1 in lore and steel and -1 in sway, or +2 in steel, +1 in lore, but -1 to everything else. And we add to that our family bonus. I can give you the family bonuses, unless you have them on your sheet and it's super easy for you to find. But otherwise...
Those are not super easy to find.
Alright, so the servants, your bonus for your character is a +1 to either sway or steel. So regardless of what you choose, Kelly, you can also add a +1 to either your sway or your steel. Order of the Titan, it's a +1 to lore or force. And the lawgivers, I skipped them. Where are they? Lawgivers, it's a +1 to force or steel. So as far as the stats go, you will use force whenever you need to use brute strength, whenever you need to use endurance, whenever you need to bring something to bear on an opponent, an adversary. Lore is both your knowledge of the world around you and also knowledge of the world before. It's almost in D&D would be like a mix of intelligence and wisdom. Steel is how you can steel yourself from adversity. So it works as both physical and mental. If a character that has a lot of steel will tend to have a lot of resolve and will tend to be able to survive punishment better than others. In sway is how easy it is for you to sway people to your side in an argument. Mostly like the social stat. So I'll give you time to choose your stat array, and let us know what you've chosen once you've chosen it.
I'm already good to go.
Cool. What do you have?
So I had an option, and then I added my +1. So my end ended up being 0 in force, 1 in lore, 1 in steel, and 0 in sway. I used my plus to make sure I didn't have any negative stats.
Oh, okay, cool. So you just don't have any negatives. Nice.
Yep.
I wish I could do that. Mathematically it won't work. I'm gonna go with 1 in force, -1 in lore, a 2 in steel, use that +1 steel, and then a 0 in sway.
Okay.
Or
So with my choices, I ended up with 2 force, 1 steel, and -1 in sway.
Okay.
And 0 for lore.
Mm-hmm. All right. So those are your stats. They will probably not move during the course of the game unless you unless you are harmed, or sometimes you might fall upon a piece of technology, or maybe have a power that will let you alter that. As far as leveling up goes, I do not remember. I'll have to check in the main rulebook, but I don't think that the stats are part of, unlike in Masks where the stats can move. I don't remember if they do in this one. That said, the next step is going to be your looks. I know it's weird, we're like moving to, it's, oh wow, they didn't put them on your sheet. Oh yeah, your looks are there. You can't edit them, but we have to choose. What do your characters look like?
you put the look in the box underneath.
Oh yeah, okay, so you can just copy paste the text.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I guess I'll go first.
Sure.
So, as the machine, I think that I decided the character's name is going to be Wukong.
Oh, how'd you spell that?
Wukong.
Okay.
And picture about a 10-foot gorilla in a heavy-duty armor encasing. He's stylized in, the Monkey King armor. That's where the name comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's got ginormous arms, shorter legs, and he'll move around using his arms mostly as his propelling himself forward. But he'll also carry this large staff that's metallic in nature. It is also robotic and can morph and change into basically a giant shoulder cannon. Because we talked about how the Order of the Titan has a not insignificant weapon called the Mass Driver, which is a very heavy-duty electromagnetic rifle that sends high-velocity rounds.
And just to make sure you look like a giant 10-foot gorilla, but is your metal plating covered in fur?
No. So there are no trappings like that.
Okay.
He's got a very heavy-duty but also sleek kind of plating to
Okay.
him.
So you look like a robot that happens to be shaped like a giant gorilla. Like, you don't look like Winston in Overwatch.
No.
Okay. Trying to, like, have a mental image. in my mind. Cool. Who wants to go next?
My hand couldn't find where my mouse went, and so I was stalling for time to engage my hand-eye coordination. So I'm going to play Sophia. She is very lean. She's very sturdy. But lean. She wears similar outfits to the rest of the Children of Persephone, where it's very kind of plain cotton hand-stitched clothing, kind of leftovers or knit fabrics.
Mm-hmm.
But what sets her apart is that she has she always has a big backpack, and she actually has some metal greaves and kind of plating in key places to help her with survival. She is loaded for bear with pouches and packs and water, and so it doesn't have the same simple look as the rest of her people.
You look like you're ready to survive in the waste, basically.
Yeah, but it's not showy.
Okay.
Right, it's very utilitarian. She's got kind of nearly shaved head because it's easier to keep out of the way. And she is very... she has the kind of face that everybody thinks that they've met her before because she doesn't have any particular standout features.
Okay.
Which is actually one of the reasons she was chosen for this particular role.
Makes sense. Deirdre?
I'm gonna go with her name is Bridget. And she is... You can't really tell. She wears her features are mostly obscured for the most part. She wears her hair pulled back tight, utilitarian braid. Yeah, Bridget McLean is Glenn McCann's. And she is wears a scarf over most of her bottom face.
Mm-hmm.
She has a scar that runs along the side of her face. Her eyes are judging, but always more evaluating than judging, I would say. You know, judging one. And I would say that she is muscular, but that kind of runner or swimmer's muscular, that kind of very long, lean muscle that you can go for days and continue to going. She wears the uniform of the McLeans, this very utilitarian khaki Rangers uniform that kind of we said was full of pockets and useful, but it still was identifiable as these people are Rangers and therefore they will be helpful to you.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of. And they have hidden protections. So.
Okay. Those are the moves. Okay. Before going on to backstory, though, we are going to check the moves that you can have, and also your role in the family. So the role is basically the relationship you have towards your family. You can either be a leader, an agent, a rebel, or an outsider. So as a leader, you are in a position of leadership. You might have left someone in charge while you're out scavenging the wastes, but people look at you, to you, for counsel. An agent is like the default role that you would have in this game. Basically, you've been chosen by your family to help them with whatever problem that they have. And the agent, their role, their move actually changes a lot regarding the playbook that you have. As a rebel, you basically go against your family's principles, but they will begrudgingly ask you for a favor to do whatever it is that's gonna happen in the game. So as a rebel, you are perhaps, if I can like pick the McLeans for example, you could be a what's it called again? The cop that doesn't play by the rules, like Lethal Weapon.
Lone wolf,
Yeah, like a lone wolf, like
or just
someone that doesn't follow orders or whatever. A loose cannon. That's what I was
loose
looking
cannon. Oh, okay.
And as an outsider, you probably left your family already to live on your own due to whatever could have happened, and they came to you for help. And that can be for a myriad of reasons. We're going to go into that as we pick our roles. So let's choose the role first, and then we're going to go into the moves. What do you see your characters... What do you see your characters as for your families? What role do you think they would have within those organizations?
Mine would be an agent.
You're an agent. What's the move for the agent?
Synthetic being. You can shrug off damage that would maim organics. You have 2 armor against environmental effects and attacks that are not elegant, brutal, or aberrant. And in addition, you don't need food, water, or breathable air to survive. But you're made of custom parts, so you need professional care to heal any harm.
Wait, where is that move?
I think those are the moves, not the things you get for being for your rank.
Oh yeah, synthetic being is the move that you begin with for sure. But what I meant is the role. So as agent, you also have like a thing that says mark when you are sent.
Oh, mark when you are sent somewhere no organic should survive. Say what experience awakens in you. Altruism, self-sacrifice, or self-centered coldness.
So you will fulfill your role as an agent when this happens. And when you fulfill your role as an agent, then you get to move on to a different role. And that's how you level up, if you will.
Okay.
So as an agent, so synthetic being is something that you have as a machine, but you also get to have another one. Did you already have an idea? Or did you want more time, and I'll move on to everybody else if you wanted more time to look at that.
I think I'll do scientific database.
All right. So we'll talk about data and tech. Where's my data? So data represents secrets and insights your family has uncovered. And tech represents the advanced technology of the world before, or the anomalous enigmas created by the fall. So what happens with those two things, especially since you gain more tech anytime you would gain tech, or you gain more data regardless of what you would get. So you can spend data to uncover secrets on the map. So when you're traveling, you before you go out on in the wasteland, you can spend data however much you want and you roll 2d6 plus the data you've spent. If you succeed, you get to ask me a bunch of questions. And what's fun is that the highest you roll, the more you get to decide what to add to the map. So you could say, for example, that's the follower alert.
Oh, okay. I'm like, who's shooting at me?
So you could say, for example, I burn like a few data, and then you roll like a 7 or above, and then you ask me, okay, where can I find food? And I have to tell you truthfully where to find food, because you've used that data to uncover a cache of food. Whereas tech is going to be useful when either we finish the first story and we move the clock forward. The more tech you've accumulated, the better your family will fare. Or you can also burn tech to create devices. Think of devices like magic items. Something that is better than whatever equipment you can have. Normally tech is something that predates the fall of civilization. Alright, so we know that you are an agent, are equipped with a scientific database, and you are a synthetic being. That said, let's move on to someone else. Who wants to go?
I'll go. Okay, so I picked agent
Okay.
because I just think that's accurate right now. She's just out doing the fam's standard work. So that's mark and hold 1 when you search the wasteland for a solution to one of your family's problems. Spend the hold to say a device you found will do the job, if you can bring it back to them.
Oh, cool. So basically, if you find a device, whatever it is, you can say that, oh, this will also fix my problem. By spending that hold.
Yeah, and I think this makes sense for her because I think she just does all the things. There's not enough of them. Everybody's got to multitask. So, and then we're also going through the moves.
Yep.
So I picked Visionary Archaeologist. So when you come upon the ruins of a device from the world before, roll lore, and then I can ask some subset of questions if I roll high enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I might occasionally modify those questions to be more about the text rather than a device sometimes.
Oh, yeah. It's so the one that I have written here, and I don't know if it's different on your sheet, but in the rule book that I have, it's whenever you come upon the ruins of a structure.
Oh, so this says ruins of a device.
Yeah.
From the worlds before.
I'd rather go with like a structure, so whenever you come upon like something, you can just ask these things.
Cool. I like that. And then I picked World Traveler. So you have an innate sense of direction boosted by your encyclopedic knowledge of the world. When you navigate to somewhere you've been before, with Wasteland Survival, roll lore rather than steal.
That will make it easier for you to not get lost or not encounter any dangers when you travel back to points you've already seen. Which means that for the first session, you might not get to use it much.
Yeah.
But starting the sessions after, you'll get to make ample use of that.
Cool. So that's what I selected.
Nice. And what about Deirdre?
I went for agent this round as well. Mark and hold 1 when you guard an expedition. Spend the hold to reveal a shelter that your family prepared on an earlier expedition. Because, it is important to have safe haven. And then for moves, I took hold back the tide. When you stand in defense of a person, place, or thing, roll plus steal. On a 7 to 9, pick 1. On a 10 plus, pick 2. No harm comes to the thing you defend. You deflect the blows raining down on you in a harmless way. you force the danger back and away. Are your options.
Okay.
And the other one I picked was Steel Rain. When you ambush your enemies with a coordinated strike, your rolls and any call for aid attempts the others make have advantage.
Oh, call for aid, by the way, is a like a basic move. I'll have the basic moves up on the Roll20 for our next game. But basically, it's a call for aid is whenever you fail a check, you can ask someone for help. And if they succeed, your roll goes one step higher. So let's say you really wanted to have a 10. Thank you for the bits. Let's say you really wanted to roll a 10, you rolled an 8. You could ask either Anino or Kelly for help if they roll high enough, now with advantage, because you give them advantage. If they succeed, their help actually helps you. If they fail, though, they share in the consequences. They didn't manage to help you well enough. And those were your two moves. Before going into backstory, there's two things I would like to one thing that we'll present to the audience, because they and it's probably new for you as well. I don't recall many PBTA games having that. The death move. Mind you, I haven't played a lot of PBTA. So the death move is something that'll happen if you ever die. Because you can die in this game. And so your death moves is something that'll benefit the rest of the party if you were to fall. And I think, I don't remember. Oh yeah, it's the machine. And you know, if you ever die, people can scrap and salvage your body for tech.
Or alternatively, they can erase a technological surplus and bring me back to action fully healed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, you can be resurrected whenever they want. Or if they don't want to, then you become a scrap pile. And also, your gear. So whenever you're about to depart, so at the beginning of every session, depending on who you're playing, you will have a either a tag that you can add, or maybe a follower, or something like that. Can you let me know what you have as far as your gear, your tool-up thing? Is that somewhere on your sheet, actually?
It's down here. But for me, it just says when you tool up, add a free tag to your outfit.
Okay.
So I get to add any free tag to the outfit, but I think it's based on the fact that my outfit is the one for like what I would wear for family. So
yeah.
Ranger uniform has utility and tough, and I guess I could add like comms.
Yep,
or
that's
camo.
it.
Okay.
What about the Seeker?
Mine says when you tool up, also gain a device that you recently recovered from the wasteland, and say what defenses you set off in the process.
Okay. So you basically have stolen something all the time. And,
yeah.
Alright, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, my death move is gnarly.
I don't remember for the Seeker what it is.
Would you like me to read it?
Yeah, sure.
So when you die, your tech goes haywire. Anywhere from a minute to an hour later, your choice, the entire area is racked by energy and becomes a scorched, deadly wasteland forever. I basically like set off myself as like a bomb.
That's if you can't. You're going to take everyone around you with you.
Yeah, I'm going down. You're coming with me.
Yep.
That's a Kelly attitude. I appreciate it.
I could see that. You want the Sentinel's death move too?
Sure, and then we'll do the machine.
When you die, plant your feet and make your last stand. No matter what, you'll remain fighting until your allies are safe and the danger is past. Only then do you die. I get to, Boromir the hell out of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimate relentless endurance.
Exactly. None of you are out yet. I'm not dead yet. It might say I'm dead, but not yet.
And what about you, machine?
Sorry, so we're not reading my death move. What are we?
You can. Well, we already know your death move, but what about your gear? Would you have something special when you gear up?
I don't know. This all it says here is add any tag to your outfit when the game zooms in on you.
Oh, yeah. So that's what you get.
Okay.
So whatever outfit you had chosen from your family, like the things you're dressed with, it came with a few tags. You can add one more tag of your choice to that.
Okay. So is this in reference to the assets from the family?
Yeah, I think so. Let me just grab the Order of the Titan. Yeah, it's in the assets.
Okay.
So, in your your outfit, your basically defenses, if you will. What is it that you had chosen? Helldiver armor, I think?
That's right.
So it's hardened, it's sealed, but in your case, while everybody else in Arclight Labs are dressed in Helldiver armor, you have like a special one that has an extra tag.
Okay. Do I have to choose that now, or can I choose
No, it's
that?
whenever you can even change that tag every time you we zoom in on you. So that's something we're gonna do like each session.
Okay, cool.
Unless we leave a session and you're not back at home, then you start the next session with the same equipment you had.
Okay.
So all the mechanical aspect of your characters is done now. We're gonna get into the narrative side of the character creation. Basically, have the backstory. So we already know a couple things of what happened to the families, what happened to the world, but now we're going to be interested in what happened to your character. So let's go into backstory. I think for everyone you choose 2, and you have to choose another player for one of them. And I'm going to prep my notes so I know who did what.
I only have 3. I have an extra box, but I only have 3.
Yeah,
Me
that's
too.
it. It's everyone should have 3.
Okay.
And you choose 2 by yourself, and another person will choose the other one.
Okay, so you choose 2 people to fill 2 of them, and then someone else.
No, you
So
yourself.
you fill in 2 of them.
Yeah.
And somebody else fills in the 3rd.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Do we have character? We should know character names, shouldn't we?
I mean, at this point, yes, you would know who you are since you have a shared backstory together.
Okay. Callie, what's your character name again?
Sophia.
And Nino?
Wukong.
Thank you. Sorry.
I think I'm just going to ask for a volunteer for all three.
Oh, we can
Thoughts?
do that too.
So for these, are they supposed to be like other players, or are they supposed to be whatever makes sense in the box?
I think they're supposed to be other players.
They should be other players.
Okay.
I mean, if something really doesn't fit, we can create an NPC for that. But I would rather we keep it to the players for now. But like I said earlier, we can always reskin stuff if something doesn't make sense.
Who's going first?
I'm having a miserable time deciding which ones I want to answer and which one I don't.
I did it pretty easy. So I'll go first.
Okay.
I have sworn to protect Sophia, and Wukong and I stood watch together against the chaos. And then the last one I have is Blank helped me get out of a siege alive.
I'll volunteer for that last one.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So mine are I rescued Blank from a hellish place.
Well, I mean, if you help me get out of the siege, would that count as a hellish place?
That would be two, but the other one that I have is the last time Blank and I traveled together, they were the only organic to survive.
Okay, yeah, okay. That one.
I felt like that one would be better for the hellish siege.
That one works for Bridget. That works.
Yeah. And then
I mean, it would make sense that you helped Sophia escape from somewhere if the two of you ran into each other and she was in a tight spot. I mean, it could literally be
okay.
like hellish could be very vague.
Mm-hmm.
There are
Right.
9 circles thereof. It could be very complicated to explain it.
We're also in a post-apocalyptic society, so I think like counts.
Yep. All of it counts.
Okay, and then the last one I have here is I'm just going to fill that one in. So Sophia and I have fought on opposite sides.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
All right. Sophia.
Okay. I think I'm going to propose for the first two ideas, but feel free to suggest alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, my first one is I fear Blank hates what they don't understand. I'm not sure what to put there. So I think that's the one I'm going to let somebody else fill in. But I'm going to go with Wukong can guide me to the truth. And I think Bridget will soon be lost without my tech. I think I would change that to without my knowledge instead of tech, because we're kind of going soft on it.
Sure.
Makes sense.
Um,
And then,
are
I
you?
want,
Oh, sorry.
but I don't know what to do with the first one.
Okay. For the last one, I would just probably like a clarification about lost, because you are from a family that is very religious. So are we talking lost in a religious sense, like in a spiritual sense? Yeah, or lost as in like she would die of hunger in the waste if it wasn't for your knowledge of like nature and stuff.
I think I'm actually going to go for the latter, rather like in a more like literal sense than in a spiritual sense. And it might
Okay.
be like my knowledge of the land or something like that. I don't know. But I don't think of the children of Persephone as being I think one of the reasons that they struggle to have recruits is because they don't really evangelize. They just try and be nice to everybody and hope that people will come, which is not, it's how we wish the world works, but it doesn't all the time.
So they're
And
Quakers.
I think that, yeah. Yeah, they're post-apocalyptic Quakers. That's a really good way to put it. So I don't think she would think of anyone as being spiritually lost without them. I'm putting post-apocalyptic Quakers into my notes.
So you fear that X hates what they don't understand.
Yes.
So I feel like Arclight Labs is wouldn't really fit here, or
Yeah, I
anybody
don't-
from Arclight Labs would fit there because they're very tech oriented and tech heavy. So
I could see Sophia fitting there. It's like you
You mean Bridget?
Bridget fitting in Sophia. Yeah, it's been a day, y'all. Yeah, the Friends Society, the Friends of Persephone. So
Don't want to insult too many people with my whole
no.
like bound
All-
spirituality
all the
family
respect,
thing.
all the respect and love to all of the Quakers that I have ever met and or experienced and or had fun with. They are some great people.
I too am a big fan of the Quaker community. Yeah, so I don't know. What do you imagine that Bridget doesn't really understand though? Like, what is it that they...
I don't think she gets the religious thing. Like, I think she gets the science, and I think she gets the human, there's a level of human nature is like cut and dried, they're cops and soldiers.
So like you keep helping us out of like sense of duty, but like really you're like, oh, I don't want to deal with these people.
I mean, it's like we might like you as individuals, but at the same time, we're still sitting there going, you could put a gun mount right there, and we wouldn't have to come back every time.
Yeah, we wouldn't have to keep saving your all's asses if you just pick up a bullet. Like
You don't even need a gun. I mean, like we have these really nice, sword stun baton things. They're great. You can just set it to. Okay. I think it's the religious thing. Is just like, okay, sweet honey child, and it's not. I don't think it's entirely negative. I just don't think they get it.
It is something that would be, very strange to someone who has grown up in a very like regimented, disciplined life where everything is like. I feel like the McLeans are a more materialistic people in the sense that they believe in what they have and what they don't have and what they can actually manipulate.
Very
so someone who
practical.
practical.
Yeah, practical.
So
Not
someone,
maybe, not materialistic.
yeah, because they don't
practical.
hoard materials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're practical.
Yeah, whereas my post-apocalyptic Quakers meets hippie Wiccans is not like, that's just that those two things do not make sense together.
And it's like you have a sliding scale now of you have like the children of Persephone as the pacifists, and then you have the Order of the Arclight Labs as like not idealists but like techno realists, and then you just have the McLeans in the middle as pragmatists. I don't care I don't care to know about the science of the thing. I just know that when I hit it here, it dies. You can explain to me how, but I don't need it at the moment.
Yeah, we definitely have three very different like core goal sets.
Yep.
Between the three families.
Yep.
And that's good because that'll create, in a way, conflict between the families because their outlook is so different. Like when you have three families that are basically the same, it's a bit harder. That said, if you're on the Roll20, we now have a map of a wasteland somewhere.
Seen through a night scope.
Yeah, for the purposes of our game, we know that we are somewhere in America. In the ruins of what was once North America. As for the exact place, we'll like gloss over that. It's been so long since the world ended. Things have shifted dramatically. Ruins of certain things that are very common, such as the ruins of a Starbuck you might find somewhere. But we're not gonna go into like, oh yeah, this area is actually, like, I don't know, like West Virginia or something like that. We'll keep it like neutral. That said, all of your families have things to put on the map. Landmarks, as it were. So for everyone at home, the map will be up after we've gone through it, because I'll Photoshop a better map for like the overlay and all that. But we can still talk about the landmarks and what they are and where do we want them. For those of you at home that would like a sort of preview of what this map is like, picture a wasteland that is split from the northwest to the southeast by a river. And in the southeastern corner of the map, there lies the ruins of a once major city. It looks like the river opens up to maybe a lake or the coast. I don't know. We can decide that together. And there seems to be, like, in the northwestern corner, a more, like, mountainous terrain, but I'm not 100% sure. I wanted something that looked very wastelandy, instead of getting a snapshot of the Mojave Desert on Google Map. So, what are your landmarks, and where would you like to put them? And we'll go around the table, we'll do one landmark each, and we will place them on the map, describe what they are, what we think they do, or what, you know, add on any like narrative fluff, if you will, onto that. And I will also put 3 landmarks on the map, which are known landmarks, but not places that you personally have seen yet.
And we're supposed to actually mark these on the map, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to mark these on the map. So take a color. Please choose a different color. And what we'll do is we'll do like 1, 2, 3. Instead of writing like the name of something like, oh, nuclear power plant here. Like if you just put the 1 on your sheet, I'll be able to see what the number 1 is. And I'll have it, like I'll either create an icon for it or something for that. So who would like to go first with their first landmark?
I'll go.
Okay.
So, I will go with the fall. My first landmark. It says the broken shell of a mighty capital laid low by the first behemoth attack.
Oh.
I think it's going to have to be this place on the lower right.
Okay.
How do I mark, by the way?
You take the brush, the paintbrush, and you can go into freehand or text, and you choose a color that'll be your own, and then you click on the map and you put it in.
Yeah, I didn't do that right. Erase.
If you want to erase it, you have to like select it, and I don't know which layer you drew it on. Ah, you're on the okay.
I want it go away.
You have to select it and then press delete.
Oh, that is tiny.
It's a tiny one, but I can make it bigger.
Okay.
I just need to get up to it. And, like that. Like that. Oh, come on. It's not letting me, so I'm just gonna have to put a bigger one. There we go. Yeah, if you type text, type it in, like, font 100. .100 or, like, 56. That'll work. Alright, so we know that in this city... What was it again? The attack of a gargantuan beast?
So it's the broken shell of a mighty capital laid low by the first behemoth attack.
Alright. Who wants to go next?
I have an idea.
Cool.
So I'm going to... there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna put like up here in the river actually, which
Uh-huh.
I'm imagining that's what this dark that's what I'm imagining this dark thing is. It's like a
Yeah.
river.
Do we want the river to be dry, or do we want there to still have water?
I would prefer to still have water to make my thing be cooler.
Okay.
So I'm imagining that there is like a whirlpool spring part of the river that actually sucks like water down.
Okay.
And like it's one of those like marvels that people don't understand how there can still be this river and also this like sucking whirlpool here. And so it's like a natural marvel, and we call it like the gates to Hades or something.
Okay.
But it's also like a wide area of the river where these large beasts will come and drink from. So when you pilgrim there, you are taking this risk of being attacked by beasts to make it your pilgrimage to this holy spot. And that's what I have, is a holy, that's what it's called, a holy site that drew countless pilgrims to their death.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's this holy, like, deep, evil-looking whirlpool, but it's also this, like, natural marvel, so that's why people pilgrimage there. But they're risking life and limb to do so, because these beasts
Alright.
frequent it.
Cool. Let me just make sense of my notes real quick. Alright, what about you, Deirdre?
I'm checking a thing for. Okay. There you go.
Sure.
I'm reading a topographical map, y'all. It's fun. Archaeology major. The fun things happen that way. So up here on this bluff, I'm going to put 3, and that will be the there, right there, up on that bluff. That will be from before. It was a it says a courthouse full of preserved archives, but I wanted to tweak it a little bit
Mhm.
and make it a ranger station instead of a courthouse, like an actual
Park ranger.
national park ranger station.
Okay.
Up on the bluff, overlooking the world.
All right. I will add somewhere on the map. And that was already chosen. Ooh, that could be interesting. Alright, let me grab a color. I'll go with like teal. And I will go here. And that would be my 3. So in the other section of the city, on the outskirts of it, there are drone weapons still waging an ancient war. Nobody has been able to go into that section of the city because it's still protected by an automated defense system that fires at anyone that comes that way.
So you want our numbering based on what it is for us before the fall or the threat, or do you want it
exactly.
based on? Okay, so I'm going to tweak this number then to be 1 because it's based on that's the before.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Can you change mine to a 2 then?
Yeah, sure.
I went with the fall first.
2. There you go.
Great.
Oh, I kind of turned mine into something about the fall, even though it's from the before category.
Okay.
But I'm not too worried about it if nobody else is.
Well, it's mostly for, like, when I'm gonna look at the sheets to know which one of the 3 it belongs to. So, does it belong to the before?
Yeah.
Okay. So long as it stays, like, it's in that category, it's just so I'll know, like, which one to pick up and make, like, a little icon or something.
Got it.
Alright. Moving back up to Anino.
Okay. Go with 2. 1 here. That is a Titan's carcass crawling with scavengers.
Oh. Does it say, like, Titan, or is it a behemoth?
It says Titan.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll mark it down as behemoth. Just, it's a giant... That's what you wanted, right? A giant monster?
Yes.
Dead with... Okay, good. Kelly. Or if you don't know yet, we can move on to Deirdre too. Oh, I think you're muted.
Kelly, you're muted.
Oh. I was distracted by how cool all the options were, and I was having trouble picking, but I made a decision. Oh boy. My allergies are not joking around. Okay. My number 2 is a fortress of those who banded together to stave off Armageddon. So there's this like cool little circular set up right here.
Okay.
I imagine it's like the last stand of the great city, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Custer's last stand kind of thing.
And is it still populated today?
No, I think it's like it's pretty much a ruin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. No, it's mostly for me, so to know, if I have to create, like, come up with people. Deirdre.
I want it duly noted that all of my fall choices are very dark. Like, straight up. So I'm gonna go with over here. Because I'm again an anthropologist and an archaeologist. I'm gonna put right here at this wonderful junction of highways is the site of massacre of everyone trying to flee the city at the time of the fall and being just decimated.
All right. So it's a very old massacre. Not something that was recent.
No, but somehow it seems like a place that's, like, just for flavor, it's still cursed, and people... There may, because it's such a... It is a natural choke point, actually, looking at this map and looking at the topographicals of this. It's a natural choke point.
Yeah, I imagine that it's just piles of cars, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
it's like the picture behind you, right? It's just like piles of cars.
It's piles of cars, and somebody messed up that cloverleaf design, and no one actually agrees with the engineers who design highways that these are efficient things, no matter what they say. But
are we both thinking of Spaghetti Junction right now?
Yes, we are. Hashtag Atlanta life.
That's funny because all of my next ones were actually chosen by you. So I'll fall back onto something else.
I mean, my other two options were a public building destroyed by riots or a refugee camp torn apart from the inside.
I would have probably X'd out that refugee camp one.
So did I. That was kind of my thought. Not gonna do that one.
All right. Okay. I have one that I'm gonna put up. So the choke point was here. So I'll put something up here. Hey, come on. Do the thing. That would be my number 1. And so, not too far away from that choke point is a fort. Probably the source of raiders in the area. I don't know what
Bandit
you think.
camp. Bandit camp makes sense to me. I always need to have one of those that has to be cleared out to unlock some achievement.
Yep. Clear all the bandits. I did not
That's a quest point if I'd ever seen one.
I did not rage quit Neverwinter earlier today because of bandits.
Oof.
I rage quit Neverwinter during the last update. Or maybe not the last update before I rage quit.
That would bring us back to Anino.
Me?
No, Kelly.
Oh, and you know.
No, wait. Where am I in my
I don't
notes?
know.
Yeah,
I have
that
no
would be
idea.
Anino.
Cool.
I think Sophia would like this one. Let's see. A threat. Artifact of inhuman origin that the behemoths fiercely guard.
Ooh.
Artifact from the before. You said they were guarded by behemoths?
Yes.
Nice. All right, Kelly.
Um. I'm going to go with, just need to find a good spot for it. I'm going to put them here. It makes sense that things are clustered around the city.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong color. There we go. Okay. I am going to, there we go, do a cabal of fall cultists, an intent on following mysterious visions. They're kind of our antithesis, I imagine.
Okay.
So I imagine like fall cultists are like people who essentially like think the fall was the best thing for humanity and that we needed to reboot. You know, like Team Thanos. Right? Like that's what I'm imagining. These folks are, and so they don't want the behemoths gone because they like worship them as bringing about the great needed change because they're not well people.
Indeed.
Okay, so my next...
And I think it makes sense that they, I think it made sense. I put them there because I think it made sense that they would be nearby where this like crazy machine thing is happening too. Like that they would be drawn to that kind of trial.
Are we saying that the city itself is still populated? Or is it just the massive ruins?
I think it could still be populated.
Yeah, I would imagine that it's probably got populated it's probably a lot of ruins. If it was the center of the apocalypse for the fall, like it's probably heavily destroyed, but that still provides shelter and resources and all that kind of stuff. So it makes sense for there to still be kind of factions of people that would be, you know, like the Avenue A folks that are all banded together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that kind of thing.
I mean, yeah. In that case, I'm going to put over here on this wonderful highway that would still therefore be used as a means of transportation. The eluded caravan bound with a mysterious destination that probably came out of the city. And actually, I'll probably move it to just off the main highway to make it slightly more interesting.
Okay.
But, you know, if the city's still populated, then the main roads would still be used. Even if they're not necessarily in well repair, they might still be used as a mean, you know. We still use Roman roads, at least in certain portions of Europe, even if you aren't going to Rome.
And my last one, I'm gonna make it difficult for the people that want to go, to the whirlpool. And my number 2 is a bit like bigger than just like the one square, but still it's an area of radioactive wasteland, somewhere that people have, well, you know, living people, organics, cannot survive. And we have one last thing to put on the map. Where do you live? Where are your families located? Now, remember, you've chosen when you created those families if they were nomadic, dispersed, or I think it was like sheltered or something like that. Settled. Nomadic, dispersed, or settled. So, of course, if it's a more nomadic lifestyle, I would ask you to just like circle the area that your people commonly use. Of course, since we're starting the game, it can't be the whole map because your family is still small. If they're settled, where exactly is their headquarters? And if they're dispersed, what's the where's the like main center of like the main hub for your smaller settlements?
Should we just mark those with 4s?
You can mark them with 4, or like I said, if you want to put like a circle, whatever. It is up to you. Oh, I see a 4 on the map. All right. So Arclight Lab is situated on a small island between the two parts of the main city.
That's right, but it's actually underground, so it's a really heavy-duty bunker.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
And then there's going to be like this river opening, or this opening in the water that's just going to part when they launch their vehicles up and out.
Okay. You're making me think of
Thunderbird style?
Thunderbirds, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and Kelly 4. Kelly, what does your settlement look like?
I mean, I imagine that they have this. Tran, stop. Sorry, my dog is growling at people outside. I imagine that they have. I mean, it looks very much like a compound. I imagine that they've got like wooden fencing, kind of all the way around this big area, and some like rudimentary kind of buildings or tents, kind of that they've set up inside the perimeter. Where they do most of their living, and then they like forage in the wilderness around. So like they essentially, use this forested space to be separate and with nature,
Yeah. Because we have to remember, this is not a, like, deserted wasteland. It is teeming full of life.
Yes.
Where
So they just try to avoid living in the ruins themselves. They preferred to kind of start a new place.
All right. And my last, whoa, that moved.
You muted Deirdre.
I moved it because it wasn't going to make sense for us to save the children of Persephone if we never crossed the river.
Mm-hmm.
It would be awkward to, only be on the east side of the river, and it's like, hey, children of Persephone, you dying, but we ain't. No, that wasn't gonna work. So I followed the roads to be a circuit.
Okay, yeah.
From the
that you patrol.
A patrol, basically. And, not everybody is in the same place all at once, and not everybody is traveling the same roads all at once, because we're dispersed.
Okay.
So we're not settled.
And my last thing that I would like the three of you to put on the map, and that is because it is a location that will, where we'll probably begin our campaign. It is a trading post. Sort of a small compound of, let's say, neutral wastelanders that have no treaties with any of your families. Where
Nowhere.
would you put it?
I wonder if like something like here would make sense.
Probably.
Because
Probably. It's close enough.
Yeah, it's kind of close to everybody. Or it's like in the middle of everybody.
Also
maybe?
close to the cultists, which, they could trade with.
Yeah, and they're still people too.
And close enough to, like, the patrol route that they might feel safe enough to be there, even if they don't have treaties with the McLeans. The concept of, like, oh, well, at least if they're in the patrol area, then we know that it could be a stable location, theoretically.
Cool.
Out of curiosity, what is the scale for this map?
The scale is dramatic. I was thinking in parts
Looking at
that more or less like a 2-hour walk per square. Crossing a square would take 2 hours.
So, 10 miles?
Yeah, something like that. We can go with 10 miles because it's easier.
I mean, like, I'm just doing in my head, math. Because half of us ride. Half of McLean's ride, so I'm doing the miles. I was just like, dang, that's going to be a huge thing.
It's the whole map is not like to scale because the city would be
massive.
Immense. Yeah. But it's roughly, so if we talk about, like, if there is a need to count the hours before you get somewhere because you're racing against the clock or something, we'll go with like 10 miles per square. But otherwise, it's narrative time.
Okay.
You get there when you get there. So places might be closer if you're in the city, whereas when you're out in the wilderness, it might be longer. But to give you an example, when the vehicles from ArcLight Lab leave the lab, they can reach, it's a, 10, 20, 30, 40, like, they can't go 60 miles an hour in all that forest, but they can probably cross, like, I don't know, 4 squares an hour. If you have like the vehicles for that. So, you know, if something was urgent, there are ways for you to meet up. And that's a question I have for you players. What do we do for communication? How is communication handled in this territory? Do you have like ham radios that are still operational? We know, due to the backstory that we've established for the setting, that a major EMP was detonated in the lower atmosphere, rendering pretty much all technology useless. Of course, that EMP eventually just goes away. And some technology might be salvaged, if not necessarily recreated. I don't think people have smartphones. But it's up to you. What would you think would be appropriate and cool for your means of communication in this post-apocalyptic wasteland?
Yeah, I imagine Light Labs has quite a few ways to communicate with each other, and I could see like the children of Persephone having like negotiated or bartered or traded or something for like a radio system for emergencies. Like the council manages like the radio system to the outside world, right?
I think the McLeans have a set of comms that, depending on your rank, and they may not all be in repair, but they have a bunch of them. And so some rangers get them and some don't, because comms is a tag I can add. Can we also have postmen?
It's up to you. What do you want? I'm leaving it up to you to decide.
Because I just want the image of Kevin Costner, of the statue of Kevin Costner on a horse. Postman.
Yeah, I'm also imagining like it doesn't have to look the same for all of us too, right? Yeah. Like I'm imagining my family just like it's almost like a, you know, watching the news program at a certain time of the day, right? We all huddle around the radio and get news from the trading post or something, announcements or whatever. And then we have it for like emergency scenarios to talk back and forth. But I don't think like individuals probably just function on systems of running messages. And then it's normal to not hear from somebody for days. For us. But I can imagine it would look very, I mean, Arclight Labs and stuff, I imagine looks super different. And then if you've got more like individual radio, fancy walkie-talkie kind of stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that. What are you thinking, Nina?
I want to say that they use some sort of, or have set up some sort of limited mesh, like wireless mesh network that they use to communicate. But it's mostly limited to along the river. Like that's where they sort of set up their transmitters, I guess.
Okay.
So you have like a range that you can talk to each other in, but outside of the range, it gets tricky?
Outside of the range, it gets tricky, and they have to resort to using radio contact.
How big would you say your range is?
I think it definitely covers around this 2 area over here. Around this mouth here. So these 2 ruins. And then along the river, I think maybe as far as this purple one here.
Okay,
And
the Bunker Hill.
Bunker Hill,
Yeah, the Ranger Station, Bunker Hill.
the ranger station, and then
So maybe like 4 hours in either direction along the river through.
yeah, just about. And then anything else is sort of just radio.
Okay. So it's more or less half the map.
Yeah.
Okay. And these transmitters, how fragile are they?
I want to say that they rely more on camouflage than actual sturdiness.
Okay. So they're mostly you try to place them in places where they're going to be hidden and
Yeah, basically.
away from prying eyes. Okay. And just so I'm sure, Deirdre, you said that you had sets of radios for your lawgivers.
And I think that's the limit that's why the patrol is as limited as it is. It can go probably like on the path of the patrol path, it's covered and you can get signal because the core is in the that ranger station at the top, so you have greater high ground.
Mm-hmm.
They have the high ground coverage looking down, but you probably have like half or 1 square off the path and you lose it.
Okay. So, like, the trading post would sometimes get it when it's not overcast or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's like why it's where it is.
All right. And I think that is all for our map. Let me check if there's anything else that we need to do just to make sure. The age hasn't turned yet, so we're good for that. Yeah, there is one other thing that I want to talk to you about for the session 0. But we can also do that offline if you want, and that's about tones and tone and themes for the game.
Yeah, we can talk about that offline after.
No problem. That is all. Did you have any other questions before we take this offline? About the map, the characters, the backstory?
I don't think so, but were we supposed to select stuff like doctrine on the family mode? I don't have any.
Yeah, we did.
We did, but every time I exit out, it takes my presses away. So you just kind of have to remember what you pick.
Yeah.
But yeah, every time I switch, it goes away. So
it stayed for now, but it took it away before it stayed switching between family and character, but every time I close the character sheet, it gets
the character sheet goes away.
Your doctrine was the carrion market.
Okay.
When a new behemoth is found, name or surplus that can be extracted from it or its environment at the risk of drawing its attention.
Is Ron Perlman scavenger an NPC in this world?
We'll see about that. I have a few. I don't have a whole lot of NPCs, especially at the beginning, because you get to discover the wasteland, so there will probably be a lot of new people and new places. So we'll see what that amounts. But that will also be part of our discussion offline about tones and themes. How populated you want this place to be and all that. What's your vision of the post-apocalyptic world?
So, is it reasonable for the map to say that we know the things, we know generally speaking that there are these things that we've all talked about on here?
Yes. Everything that you've put on the map is... So the things
open
that
knowledge.
you yourself... Yeah, the things that you yourself have put on the map, these are things that you know to exist. The things that other people have put on the map, either you know, or it's like rumors and hearsay.
So you may know that there's probably like I would know that Arclight Labs has a headquarters somewhere.
Yeah. You
And
might
might be in this area, but we don't know for sure.
That's it. Unless you were brought back there by someone, then you would know for sure. Just as the, let's say that the, I don't know, my number 3, the drones. Maybe someone actually did go, like someone from the Children of Persephone did go see that and came back to report it. Or maybe it's just hearsay that you heard from travelers that just said like, oh yeah, by the way, don't go there. We've heard that there
avoid
was...
this
Yeah.
area of town.
So you can, and we can decide that together if we want. Like, is there something that you absolutely want to have kept quiet? But otherwise, like in the last game I've played of Legacy, we assume that all the points on the map are things that we at least have like second or third hand knowledge of it. Some might be more evident, like the trading post. They would broadcast their presence and their location to people because they want to attract people. So it's harder to say, oh, there's a rumor of a trading post. But like, for example, if Arclight Labs want to remain secret, they could say like, yeah, no, I've put it on the map there, but most people assume it's on the other island that's a few squares above. Like, that could be a thing.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that when we go offline. But before we do that, let's go around the table one last time. Tell us who you are, where we can find you, if you have anything going on in your internet lives. And I will take the time to do a little spiel at the end for the sponsors and all that. But let's begin with Kelly.
Hi, I'm Kelly at Kelly Lane on Twitter. That's pretty much where you can find me right now. I don't have any other games but this one at the moment. I write and edit lots of stuff for DM's Guild, or I have, including writing for Unbridled, which came out today and is so far seeming to be a big hit. As big of a hit as it is a mess. It's a glorious mess on purpose. It's a purposeful, glorious, hot mess that I highly recommend you check out if you're into that kind of thing. That's it. That's me.
Up next, we have Anino.
How's it going, everyone? My name's Anino. Once again, you can find me on Twitter at Anino Gaming. You can check my website, aninogaming.com, for a updated schedule of the streams and projects that I'm working on. Let's see, I think the next time you will find me online will be this Friday for Cyberpunk Red, the best Cyberpunk Red stream out there. And then this weekend, my usual games on the Other Doc channel, followed by actually a special charity stream, which I got pulled into that I don't know anything about, on Sunday.
Ooh.
It involves Grant and pro wrestling and whatnot. So.
Oh, yes. Is it the game
Capricorn something or other?
on Capricorn Cross? Yeah. Play Worldwide Wrestling RPG.
Yeah. So I have to figure that out at some point. other than that, then you'll find me here again next Monday for Legacy, where I play a monkey robot.
The best monkey robot. And Deirdre.
Hey y'all, you know me. I'm at Deirdre on Twitter or Prexgorthesmiaphoria as you see me here on Twitch. And as for me, you will find me tomorrow over on my channel starting at 11 a.m. We are coming back with classics on Twitch, and we are going to start this week's look at what we call classical reception, the interpretation of classics from other media, starting tomorrow with Phaedra, Greek mythology as seen through the eyes of the 17th century Frenchman. Wednesday we're starting a trilogy of Roman history as seen through William Shakespeare with Coriolanus, then Thursday Julius Caesar, and then Friday Antony and Cleopatra. But you will find me next on Wednesday for Tales for the Grim as we play some Witcher Family of Wraiths, because that is the penultimate episode of this season, and there are so many things going on in that show that I cannot wait for. And then back here Friday for Cyberpunk Red, the best Cyberpunk Red game on being played. And on Saturday, I will be back here for the finale of Vampire Nightfall, as the end has come to this chronicle. We shall see what happens next.
Nice. That said, I would like to thank all of our sponsors, Mage and Press, Found Familiar. I would like to thank our partners through the Diceomancy program, Level Up Dice. If you would want more streams, we will be here tomorrow playing The Witcher. Then on Wednesday, I don't think there's a Strandager House this week. No, it's only next week. So something might happen on Wednesday. Otherwise, I'll be in chat watching The Witcher game on Tales from the Grim. On Thursday, we will not be doing anything, but that will be our last week, theoretically. Dragon Age is coming back the week after. So we will be back with all of our Dragon Age babies, and I can try and seduce other NPCs. On Friday, we are back for Cyberpunk as the team prepares their first big gig. And Saturday is the finale for Vampire the Masquerade. And that is it. Thank you everyone for coming. We will see you next week for some post-apocalyptic goodness. Have a safe week, everyone. Bye-bye.